guys, welcome back to my channel Kajidataonline. In this video, I'm trying my best to explain to you in depth how you can use your Raspberry Pi Zero W. So I have two versions. So this one is Raspberry Pi Zero, and then this is equipped with the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connection. And then in the next video, I also going to explain to you about Raspberry Pi 2W. So this is a very new board that are currently released in Malaysian marketplace. So let me introduce to you the equipment and also the item that probably you need for this installation and so on. And I also are going to go quite detailed in terms of all the process, and some of the changes might be happening for the process, and if the process consume a little bit of time, I may forward here and there a little bit, so please bear with me, and let's jump into the idea of setting it up. So the first one, you need the board. So this board is approximate $15 because it's come with the head, and then this is the old version. Actually this is the one core, where the Raspberry Pi 2W is actually quad core, 4 cores. Okay, so the other things is slightly differ a little bit. We need the card reader and also of course the micro SD card. So I have here is 64 GB. So based on the previous experience, you need at least 8 or 16 GB should be good. And then you need to have this micro HDMI connector. So I also attach the micro HDMI connector with my HDMI connector together with my setup over here. You can see over there is HDMI video capture, which is going to be later on explained about how the interface and what it's look like when we boot it up. And then you can also have this kind of connection if you are trying to connect your Raspberry Pi. You can also have this connection. This is the standard HDMI to VGA. It is actually can help you to communicate your Raspberry Pi Zero with your monitor. So I'm going to disclose all the ideas about all these things so that you can have a very clear picture when you want to set it up. Okay, so this is the micro connector together with the female port over here. So this is actually going to be connected for your peripherals. So this is going to be connected with your peripherals, and I'm going to also use this USB port because I'm planning to attach my that one. Okay, that one is the USB dongle. So this is the USB dongle. So USB dongle over here are going to be connected after this, so that I can control everything using my wireless mouse and keyboard. So this is a quite extensive video, so hopefully it's benefit for the beginners who are trying to understand fully about how to interact with the Raspberry Pi Zero W and then how to use it. Okay, so the first step, you need the card reader over here, and then you need to insert your micro SD card, and then you need to insert it inside your computer so that you can format it and also download the relevant firmware. So I'm going to do that now. So let me just go into my setup over here. So I'm going to attach it into my USB hub over there. You can see it is already being inserted. Okay, so I got this prompt action whether I would like to format it or not. So that one can be done later on. So the first step, you have to navigate your cursor into this area. So this is the website if you want to purchase it. I put the link over on the descriptions of this video. So the first one, you have the operating system. This is called Raspberry Pi OS Legacy. I'm planning to use this one of it. So I'm going to use the Raspberry Pi OS Legacy with desktop. So let me just download the item for you. So the next one, the most important part is actually you need to have the imager. Sometimes some people also suggest you to use the Balena Etcher. Okay, Balena Etcher is one of the Flash OS kind of software that will help you to flashing the image file from the Raspberry Pi image file into the operating system that can be operated in your SD card. Okay, so I'm planning to use the Raspberry Pi imager instead of the Balena etcher. So let me just do it. So I'm going to download it now also. So I have two important downloads over here. So the first one is the zip file. So this zip file is actually contain the imager, and then I also download the imager software so that we can use the imager software to flash our image into the SD card. Okay, so let me just open it and install accordingly. So okay, so we are going to install it. Alright, so let me just wait for a while. So all the details, I'm going to speed it up for a while so that we can appreciate the other explanation. Okay, so it's done. So let me just run the Raspberry Pi imager software. So the Raspberry Pi imager software can help you to configure your Raspberry Pi after this. Okay, so let us just prepare everything in place. And one more item that I would like to share with you, which is the power supply. So I'm planning to use the normal power supply over here. So this is the standard power supply that you can have it from your smartphone charger. So actually I'm using this one, which is the SS charger. So it is able to provide sufficient 2 amp of current into our Raspberry Pi. So based on the data sheet, we can straight away use it, or if you would like to use the power bank also can, or your computer power also is feasible to do that. Okay, so now let us open the imager. So after this, we are going to choose our operating system, and then what we are going to do is basically we are going to write our operating system with the image file from the Raspberry Pi Foundation or Raspberry Pi website. So let me continue with the other ones, which is I'm planning to sort of cleaning up my disk. So let me just choose my storage accordingly. So I have the storage over here, and then I'm going to choose for the erase. Okay, format the card as the FAT32. So I'm going to click the write. So what will happen is basically the generic storage device from my USB, if you can see over here, my USB over there that already being attached with the card reader, are going to be erased significantly, and then we are going to see it is actually blank, and then can straight away be used with our fresh Raspberry Pi image file. So as I mentioned to you before, this is quite extensive tutorial about how you are going to do it. You can skip one by one if you feel you would like to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to finish it up. Okay, so now you can remove the SD card from the reader. So the SD card is actually ready to be used, it's fresh, and it's already deleted all of the material inside. So what I have here is a blank generic USB storage, which is going to be used later on. Okay, so let me just wait for a while. So at the moment, let us talk a little bit about the Raspberry Pi connections that are going to be done after this. So the first step is basically you need to attach your power. Of course, your power can be attached at this micro USB. So I'm going to do that later on. So the next part is basically use your any peripherals. So this is my peripherals. This is going to be attached with my USB. So this is my USB dongle. Okay, so the USB here are going to be connected with the USB Bluetooth dongle over there, which is correspond to my Wi-Fi. Sorry, this is going to be attached for my Bluetooth keyboard and also mouse. And then I'm going to attach also the HDMI, the mini HDMI cable over here, and then it's complete the setup. Basically you can interface it directly to your PC, or you can directly interface it with your computer or monitor, sorry. So but this case I'm going to attach it with my what we call it as the HDMI video capture. So I have there is HDMI video capture from the output of this Raspberry Pi. So the reason doing this is because I would like to share the experience also of the layout when I'm going to share the output during this installation process. So please bear with me. So let me just make some repetition. So the first one, basically we can insert the power over here. So this is correspond to the power. 2 amps is the 1.5 amps actually from the datasheet is the minimum current requirement. So of course you can use the generic Raspberry Pi, or you can also use any phone charger will be doing the same thing. And then you can attach the peripherals. My suggestion is basically use these kinds of peripherals, so you have external input that you can also interface with the Arduino if you are trying to set it up using your Raspberry Pi and so on, but that one are going to be discussed later on. And then attach your HDMI to your HDMI cable over here, and then you got this with header. So this is the 40 GPIO pin that we are going to utilizing it in our physical computing process. So I think the download is finished. So the next step is basically unzip those files. Okay, let me just open and then proceed with the unzipping the file. Okay, so this is the file. Okay, it's quite big actually, more than 1 gigabyte. You can just extract it. So I already extract it and then wait for a while. So after extracting this folder, then you can straight away use the Raspberry Pi imager to flash those image into your newly formatted SD card. Okay, it's just waiting for setting up. So let me just wait for a while. Okay, let me speed up a little bit so that you can appreciate the another step. Okay, now the file is already being extracted, and then this is the new available file, which is consists of the image file that obtained from the Raspberry Pi website. I'm using the Raspberry Pi OS Legacy with desktop. So the way to download it manually like this, instead of just installing from the Raspberry Pi imager, because I found out that this one is much more faster as compared to just choosing the operating system and then download. It need to verify, extract, and so on. So this is how you want to speed up the process a little bit. So the next step is basically choose your operating system. So this is the default. Based on the other tutorials also, people may suggest you to do this as a robust setup, but I'm going to use what we call it as the custom. So the custom is a very basic, which is only we download it outside the imager, and then we extract it manually, and then we open it manually also. And then please make sure you check and double check, and then before you proceed with the right function over here, to burn those image file into your SD card, it is worth noted to make some setup on your Wi-Fi so that the configuration can be inserted directly to your SD card. To do that is basically go for, if you are using Windows, Shift Control, proceed with the X button. Shift Control X are going to be enable the advanced option for you. So they say the image custom option for this session only. Okay, so I'm going to enable the SSH. So the set Pi user is basically I'm going to set default password, which is the Raspberry. Right, and then I'm going to configure my Wi-Fi. So as you can see over here, I'm setting up my Wi-Fi. Okay, and then of course it's also include the password. Okay, so of course it's include the password, and then I'm going to choose the Wi-Fi country. So our Wi-Fi country is basically MY, is Malaysia. So let me just scroll a little bit to find appropriate for our country, which is MY. MY stand for Malaysia. Okay, so this one. Alright, so after that, set local settings. So in this case, I'm going to use the Asia and also Kuala Lumpur, and then the import keyboard is basically US. Alright, and then I'm going to click the save, and then I'm going to go for write. Okay, I make a repetition, shift, control, proceed with the X. This is going to enable you for the advanced option, where you are going to set up or pre-set up your SSID and also password, and also enable the SSH for the remote controlling your Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to hit save and then proceed with the write function, and then proceed with the yes indication over there. So it may take a little bit of time, a few minutes in my previous experience. So let me just speed up a little bit the process. It's going to be end up soon. So let me just complete the explanation over here. So it's already indicate that we can remove the SD card. So I'm going to remove my SD card over there. If you can see, I'm going to remove my SD card and then insert it inside our Raspberry Pi. So let me do that so that you can see the process of doing it. So now I'm going to detach those things, and then I'm also going to attach this HDMI video capture so that you can appreciate the output on the booting up process. So let me just insert it first before I change the view of this process. So the next step that you need to do is basically just remove your SD card. Okay, just remove your SD card and then insert it inside your SD card holder over here in your Raspberry Pi Zero. So this is a Raspberry Pi Zero W. You can also use the same mechanism for Raspberry Pi Zero 2W, which is based on our testing, is actually giving the similar result. Okay, however, it's much more faster as compared to this. Alright, so let me just open it up, and then I may disconnect the view, if you can see over here, and then we continue the output from it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so let me just insert the Raspberry Pi over here with our USB connected wire so that we can log in. Okay, so now it's booting up. So we are expecting to also see is there any changes. So just give a few seconds so that it's reboot and also setting it up. So while waiting, I'm also going to insert my USB dongle for controlling the Raspberry Pi Zero W using my keyboard and also the mouse. Okay, so you can see over there USB cannot enable. Maybe the USB cable is bad. So let me just do it again. After approximate 2 to 3 minutes of login and powered up of our Raspberry Pi Zero W, so we successfully can see over here a standard display from Raspberry Pi OS Legacy. So this Raspberry Pi is successfully installed, the Raspbian, and then we are going to see what is the output after this. So you can see over there we have the Bluetooth connectivity is also available, and then the Wi-Fi is already being connected. Of course, it takes a little bit of time, and then it's also synchronized with the time at the moment in Malaysia situation. So it is giving a warning. So this is a standard one. So the SSH and all the setup is actually at default, and then we can go over here and proceed with the program. So at the program functions, this actually provide only two important program over here, which is the Guinea and also Tony IDE, and then they have the Chromium, and then they have a sound for VLC media, graphics, accessories, and we have some other preferences. So it is a very standard idea of installing the Raspbian in our Raspberry Pi Zero. So it is actually differ a little bit if you're using the Raspberry Pi Zero W, which is the version 2, which I'm going to share the videos in the near future. So in a summary, so you can also open the Chromium and test it out, and then most of it are going to be controlled using the terminal functions. As you know, the Linux version is a free open source, and it's also not a computer that you want to run a lot of work, but basically just to help you to get an idea how to learn about computing and how to learn about coding and interfacing with the physical computing mechanism. So this video is basically explain the use of the Raspberry Pi Zero, which is version 1, and then how you want to install and keep it running. So you can also check it out my videos before about the use of Raspberry Pi Zero W with the another OS, which is we call it as a Motion Eye for capturing the video or camera module. So we are going to continue our discussion using the Raspberry Pi Zero W, which is version 2, of course, after this. And then until next time, see you again, and thank you for watching this video. I hope it is already benefit, especially for the new and beginners to explore the gist of using the Raspberry Pi product and also learning coding and electronics. Until then, see you again next time. Thank you for watching. Please do support me by doing this 3 click like, share to your friend and family, and do not forget to hit the subscribe so that you can also get the near update by also click those notification bell. If you got any question, just leave it out in the comment section down below. See you again, and bye bye.